I'm sure the majority of you have heard of the person I'm doing my speech on, Mr. John Dillinger, which is located in this picture. We'll see. If you've ever heard of the term public enemy number one, that is who Mr. John Dillinger was. Mr. John Dillinger, I'm doing my speech on him because I think he is one of the greatest bank robbers, gang members that has ever walked in our country. I've done my research, so I believe I'm a credible source on him. Mr. John Dillinger, he did not have a very great upcoming. He was born June 22nd, 1903. He was born around Indianapolis, Indiana. His mom died when he was 3 years old, and his dad was left to raise him. He didn't do very well in school, and at the age of 11, his dad got remarried, and he resented his stepmother, and that didn't help at all. So what his dad did was move him out to Mooresville. There, Dillinger was just, he could not adapt at all to the country life. And he ended up stealing a car, Grand Theft Auto, and that landed him in the Navy because he had to absolutely go to evade the cops. He was only in the Navy for 5 months, and then finally his ship docked in Boston, and Dillinger made a break for it. Ran straight back to Mooresville. When he got to Mooresville, he married Beryl Hovius and started hanging out with an ex-convict named Ed Singleton. Him and Ed Singleton hung out so much that they decided to be their little two-man gang, and they decided that they should rob a grocer, but they didn't succeed. They were arrested, and Dillinger ended up serving 9 years, and Singleton only ended up serving 3. Wells, Dillinger was in jail. He tried many times to escape, but he never could. Every time he failed. At the end of his 9 years, he got out. First thing he did was go rob banks in Dalesville, Indiana, Montpelier, I believe is how you say it, Indiana, and Bluffton, Ohio. For his next robbery, he decided to rob the Indiana National Bank, and he actually acquired machine guns and bulletproof vests for that one. It's really crazy how he never got caught, ever. He was always, like, they knew who it was, but they could never prove it. What he did was he took his fingers and he dipped them in acid, and what that does is it burns off your skin cells and it burns off your fingertips, so he could pick up whatever he wanted and never left any fingerprints. I thought that was pretty cool about him. He also, instead of when he ran away in his getaway car, he wouldn't take main streets. Like here in Brookfield, he wouldn't use Main Street. He'd casually drive down the backcountry road and just kind of cruise so he didn't look suspicious at all. So that's how he got away all the time. While he was in jail, he made some friends, and they were still in there. Well, Dillinger decided to smuggle guns and ammo into jail to help his friend get out. They received them, broke out of jail, but by that time, Dillinger was back in jail for robbing the Indiana State Bank. Well, they decided we'll return the favor. What they did was they broke Dillinger out of jail. Just a lot of breaking and entering. It's crazy. And then once Dillinger broke out, he went back to Chicago, robbed some stuff there, and then the FBI got hold of him, got wind of where he was, so him and his gang hid in Arizona and Florida. But while they were in Arizona, the hotel they were staying in, there was a fire. During that fire, Dillinger and his gang had to get out of there, but they couldn't go unnoticed, and firemen noticed who they were and had them arrested. And of course, they sent him to what they called an escape-proof jail. It wasn't very escape-proof because Dillinger got out. And I found this just incredibly amazing, but according to biography.com, on his biography, what he did was he carved, I'm not sure what it was out of, but he carved a wooden gun, painted it, put enamel on it, made it look completely real. And he broke out of jail by holding the person who was holding him at gunpoint with a wooden gun. And I just thought that's just amazing. So when he broke out of jail, he made a fatal mistake though. What he did was he took the sheriff's car and he drove it between the Indiana-Illinois border, the Indiana state line. And what that did was made a federal crime. So then the FBI could engage him and come to get him. And what Dillinger did is he stayed in a hotel in Chicago with his current girlfriend, which was unknown. And the FBI got wind of it, came to the apartment, went to get him. As soon as they opened the door, gunshots rang out, machine gun fire. All they could do was lay down. They hung out for about 10 minutes or so. They opened the door, bust in, but it was too late. Dillinger had already escaped out the back window. But while that happened, when he jumped out the window, he broke his leg, and he had to stay at his father's house in Mooresville. And him and his gang stayed there for a little bit until he could get healthy and everything. And then they ran off to Wisconsin. Well, FBI got wind of him being in Wisconsin at this place called Little Bohemia Lodge. So one night they decided, hey, let's bust him. So they go in to get him. Well, Dillinger's gang somehow found out about it and was already on the rooftop waiting for the FBI to get there. Shots rang out, and finally the FBI said, we'll leave him alone. We'll come back and get him in the morning. Well, morning came and they were already gone, of course. Finally, he ran off, and he was staying in a hotel again in Chicago, and he was staying with this lady named Polly Hamilton, and the FBI the FBI had located him and found out who he was staying with and talked to the landlord, and the landlord was good friends with his girlfriend. And what happened was, what they got Miss Hamilton to do was take Polly Hamilton, they got Polly, Anna, and Mr. Dillinger to all go to the movies, and the FBI set them up. They went into the movies, and the FBI was outside waiting for them. And once they got out, they walked down the street a couple steps. Dillinger spotted one of the FBI agents, and gunshots rang. Dillinger tried to run, but he couldn't. Got shot 4 times in the back of the head and died.